One man changed football forever. He did not kick a ball, he never wore a kit, he never managed a single game. But in the space of 3 years, Mohammed bin Salman reshaped the sport more than any player, manager, or club owner in history. And the football world just let it happen. This is not a story about transfers. This is not a story about a league trying to grow. This is the story of how an entire sport was quietly purchased and what was sold along with it. It started with one player. January 2023. Cristiano Ronaldo, the most famous athlete on the planet, flew to Riyadh. Al Nasser, a club almost nobody outside Saudi Arabia had ever heard of. The football world laughed. They called it a retirement tour, a golden goodbye. The end of a great career dressed up as a transfer. They were wrong. Ronaldo was not the destination. Ronaldo was the announcement. Within 6 months, Neymar followed. Then Karim Benzema. Then N'Golo Kante. Then Roberto Firmino. Then Riyad Mahrez. Names that had defined the best decades of European football. Gone. All of them. In a single summer. The Saudi Pro League spent $957 million in the summer of 2023 alone, second only to the Premier League, in one window. From a league most football fans could not have named 12 months earlier. Nobody called it a retirement tour anymore. To understand what happened, you need to understand one thing. This was never about football, not at its core. The Public Investment Fund, the PIF, is Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund. It holds nearly $1 trillion in assets. Mohammed bin Salman chairs it, and in June 2023, it took direct ownership of 4 Saudi clubs: Al Hilal, Al Nasser, Al Ittihad, and Al Ahly. State ownership, government money, not a private billionaire buying a football club, a government buying 4 at once. Those 4 clubs alone accounted for 77% of all transfer spending in that 2023 summer window. The combined wage packages offered to foreign stars exceeded $1 billion for just 20 players. Ronaldo earns $213 million a year. Neymar joined for $100 million annually, then played 7 matches in 18 months before leaving. Al Hilal paid $42 million per appearance for a player who was barely fit to train. This was not transfer strategy. This was a signal. Loud, deliberate, and expensive. The question every football fan should be asking is this: why? Saudi Arabia has a problem. Its entire economy runs on oil. Oil will not last forever. The kingdom knows this. Vision 2030 is Saudi Arabia's plan to survive what comes after, to build a new economy, diversify revenues, attract tourists, and reposition itself on the world stage before the oil runs dry. Sport is the vehicle. Football is the engine. When Ronaldo arrived in Riyadh, the Saudi Pro League's global broadcast reach was negligible. Within a year, it was streaming in 120 countries. Tourism to the kingdom increased. International business partnerships multiplied. Hotel bookings surged during match weeks. The football was secondary. The attention it generated was everything. This is what experts call sports washing. The use of major sporting events and high-profile sports investments to reshape how a country is perceived internationally. Saudi Arabia is not the first to do it, but nobody has ever done it at this scale, and nobody has done it with the same ambition of what comes next. In December 2024, FIFA officially awarded Saudi Arabia the 2034 FIFA World Cup. The decision was made by acclamation, meaning there was no vote, no competitive bidding process, and no rival candidate. Australia had withdrawn because the application timeline was too short to mount a serious bid. Only Norway's Football Federation formally objected. Every other member of FIFA, over 200 nations, stayed silent. Here is where it gets darker. Gianni Infantino became FIFA president in 2016. Since then, he has built a remarkably close relationship with Mohammed bin Salman. The two have been photographed together repeatedly. In May 2025, Infantino attended a state visit to Saudi Arabia alongside U.S. President Donald Trump. His arrival at a FIFA Congress in Paraguay was delayed because he was in Riyadh. Saudi oil giant Aramco signed a deal in 2024 to become a major worldwide partner of FIFA. The deal is valued at over $100 million per year. Aramco is state-owned, which means FIFA's biggest new sponsor is, in practical terms, the Saudi government. Mark Pieth, FIFA's own former anti-corruption advisor, filed a formal legal complaint against FIFA in 2025, accusing the organization of failing to uphold its own human rights policy when awarding the 2034 World Cup to Saudi Arabia. He described the evaluation process as an astonishing whitewash. FIFA ignored the complaint. When an organization's anti-corruption advisor has to file a legal complaint against that same organization, what does that tell you? Let's talk about what the transfer fees and the stadium renderings don't show. Saudi Arabia has one of the worst human rights records of any nation on earth. Women's rights activists have been imprisoned for peaceful advocacy. Migrant workers face systemic exploitation. LGBT individuals face criminal prosecution. Journalist Jamal Khashoggi was murdered by Saudi government agents in 2018. Mohammed bin Salman has been personally implicated in that killing. Amnesty International called FIFA's 2034 decision an astonishing whitewash of Saudi Arabia's human rights record. Human Rights Watch described the PIF's sports investments as a cornerstone of Saudi Arabia's influence operations abroad. These are not fringe opinions. These are the conclusions of the world's leading human rights organizations. And FIFA, the body entrusted to protect the integrity of football, signed a multi-hundred-million-dollar deal with Aramco, Saudi Arabia's state oil company, in the same year it awarded Saudi Arabia the World Cup. The workers who will build 2034's 11 new stadiums, some in Neom, a city that does not yet exist, will have no meaningful protection, because FIFA has asked for none. Qatar promised reforms before 2022. Human rights groups estimate over 6,500 migrant workers died during that construction era. FIFA collected record revenues from the tournament and moved on. Saudi Arabia is building bigger, more stadiums, more games, a 48-team tournament, more workers, and the same absence of accountability. The most revealing thing about the Saudi football takeover is not the spending, it is the silence. Over 200 FIFA member associations voted, by acclamation, to award the 2034 World Cup to Saudi Arabia. Football's most powerful clubs accepted Saudi sponsorship money. European leagues took Saudi broadcast deals. Superstars collected their checks. Managers took their salaries. The infrastructure of football, the clubs, the federations, the governing bodies, absorbed Saudi money at every level and asked almost no questions in return. By 2025, the PIF and its subsidiaries had secured over 910 sponsorships across global sport, not just football, tennis, golf, Formula One, cricket. The reach is total, and it is deliberate. Yasser Al-Rumayyan, the PIF's governor and Mohammed bin Salman's closest business associate, holds 22 separate roles across Saudi Arabia's sports empire. He is chairman of Newcastle United. He controls LIV Golf. He sits on boards from Riyadh to London to New York. One man, one agenda, everywhere. But here's the thing. The cracks are beginning to show. By late 2024, PIF's cash reserves had fallen to approximately $15 billion, the lowest since 2020. LIV Golf had burned through over $5 billion and was axed from PIF's priorities after 2026. Al Hilal was sold. sport disappeared entirely from PIF's new strategic priority list. The war on Saudi Arabia's doorstep had forced a financial reckoning the spectacle was never designed to survive. The empire was vast, but it was always built on oil money, not love of the game. Remember when Ronaldo landed in Riyadh and football fans laughed? Nobody is laughing now. Because the joke, it turned out, was on the sport itself. Football has been bought, its governing body has been compromised. Its biggest events have been sold to the highest bidder without meaningful scrutiny, without a competitive process, and without any real protection for the people who will pay the highest price: the workers, the women, the activists, the fans in countries whose associations sold their votes for 2 million Swiss francs and stayed silent. Football has always been bigger than money. That is what fans believe. That is what makes this sport different from everything else. But what happens when the people running football stop believing that too? That question does not have a comfortable answer. And it is the question every fan watching the 2034 World Cup opening ceremony will have to sit with, whether they choose to or not. And if this video made you think differently about what is really happening in football, subscribe. Share it with someone who thinks the Saudi era is just about transfers, because it never was.